welcome back to Hungary for round 11 of the 2025 GB3 Championship. We're 20 kilometres away from the city centre of beautiful Budapest, which is known for its thermal baths, and if temperatures reach the expected 36 degrees Celsius today, the drivers will need to make full use of the array of paddling pools they've got in the back of their garages. It was Rodin's Gianmarco Pradel who started the weekend in style. He's up to third in the championship after his very first victory in GB3. But that could all change with an incredibly competitive field and two more races coming up here at the iconic and recently upgraded Hungaroring. I'm John Jackson, joined here in the assembly area by Piers Pryor. And Piers, we're expecting degrees up to 36 today, and when we got here this morning it was kind of cool and we were thinking that's no chance that's going to happen. The heat has really ramped up in the last half an hour or so.
Yeah, it's building. It's probably mid-20s now, but the track temperature will be rising quite quickly. I think potentially a bit cooler conditions for this race, but later on race 3, that partially reverse grid is going to be a hot one.
Absolutely. Well, we can see the cars are now in assembly here, so a little bit different at the Hungaroring. They kind of sit in assembly here. They're going to go into the pit lane for a little while, so you've got a little while until the race itself starts, the second race of the weekend. Let's just remind ourselves, before we talk about this second race, what happened in race 1.
Highlights from round 10 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by their BRD, so from here at the Hungaroring, and it was Gianmarco Pradel that would lead down towards turn 1 from second on the grid. Our pole sitter, Keanu Alazari, in the pink car would drop back into 4th place, losing positions to the elite driver of Will McIntyre and Alex Ninovic. 3 wide in the background, but everyone got through turn 1 cleanly. It was Hugo Schwarzer and Jack Sherwood that would leave the road at the exit of turn 4 on lap number 1, dropping positions. But at the front of the field, that was how we were. Schwarzer would then leave the circuit once again at turn number 12, continuing that battle for the final positions on the grid. Further up the front of the order, it was Gianmarco Pradel who dropped the hammer and gapped the rest of the field by over a second, breaking DRS as Keanu Alazari got back into the podium positions down towards turn 1 with a decisive move on our championship leader of Alex Ninovic. That would be where he stayed for now, as Gianmarco Pradel would continue to push on, while Will McIntyre in the elite car would soak up lots of pressure, as the fastest man in the middle section of the race was Keanu Alazari in 3rd place. But at the front of the field, it was Gianmarco Pradel taking his first victory in the GB3 Championship.
Finishes 2 podiums so far this season, and now he's finally got a race win under his belt. Also, good evening to everyone watching back home in Sydney, Australia. I know we've got a lot of Australian fans. A really solid drive from him, because there's some real talent behind him in that race.
Yeah, his pace has been very good most of the season, but just hasn't quite put things together to get a win on the board. A couple of podiums. He's been basically nip and tuck with his teammate who's on pole in this race, Alex Ninovic, who is our championship leader, but Ninovic is sort of a bit of a gap ahead of the championship. This could be the chance, or the point at which in the season Pradel really hits the ground running, finds his stride and makes an assault on the championship. He's got a good chance of a good result in this one as well, qualified 3rd in that second of the 2 qualifying sessions, but his teammate Ninovic is on pole, but don't count out Alazari in the number 6, the pink car. He was very, very fast yesterday, dropped away from his pole position grid slot, but fought up to the back of Will McIntyre. Probably, I think, on balance, the fastest driver yesterday.
He was saying to me as well, he was gutted that his start wasn't great, because otherwise everything was perfect for him.
Yeah.
Feeling good pace. Anyway, let's hear from Gianmarco Pradel actually. Piers caught up with him ahead of the weekend, so ahead of that first race win.
Gianmarco, you've been really, really quick at times this year, but I don't think potentially your championship position reflects the pace you've had. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a big part of it not scoring in any of the race 3s, which, I mean, there's been issues on both in and out of my control. But yeah, I think hopefully going forward, especially here at Hungary, we've shown pretty good pace over the last 3 sessions, yesterday and today, so hopefully we'll be able to rack in some more points. It's just going to be all about consistently being in that top 5. So for me this weekend it's going to be really important, not just getting there, but staying there and making sure that I finish all 3 races in good points positions, and then hopefully this will kickstart some really, really good results.
Of course, you've been right there and thereabouts with your teammate Alex, who's leading the championship in terms of pace. So therefore, is consistency your kind of goal for the rest of the year?
Yeah, definitely. Consistency is going to be the number 1 goal. I know that I can't get many more out of points finishes. So yeah, it's just really going to be trying to rack up a lot of finishes and in good points at that. Alex, one thing which has been able to do really well, just drive consistently, be consistently at the front. And in this championship, it does help to win. So he's got 2 wins so far. So yeah, he's been able to extend his lead with that, and that's really put him in good stead. So hopefully I'll be able to do the same.
Only a matter of time until you get yours, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Of course, it's great to have your compatriot, two Aussies in the same team, racing here at Rodin. It must be pretty cool to have someone from your hometown, or not hometown, but it is hometown.
Sydney, both from Sydney, yeah, yeah.
Amazing, hometown, coming all the way over the world, racing in the same team and pushing each other.
Yeah, it's a bit of an Aussie championship, this one. I mean, they call it GB3, could be called AU3, but yeah, we got me, Pat, Alex, I think Noah as well. Not sure if I've missed anyone, but yeah, and we're all right there in the championship, so it's really good. To be honest, I actually really like it with the with having Aussies on the grid. It's good, and also with Alex, I've known how he races since karting, so yeah, it's good to have that little background knowledge.
Yeah, no, a bit of a rivalry there as well. And let's look ahead to the second half of the year, because we reached the halfway point at the end of this weekend in Hungary. We've spoken about consistency. What can you actionably do? What are you going to be looking to physically do to try and give yourself the best chance of a good second half of the season?
For me, it's just going to be nailing as much as I can. Putting in every single lap, I just need to put in consistent and consistent and precise performances. Try to get the car around the track, as best as possible. Minimal tyre wear, maximum lap time, and it's just the little things which I need to keep on getting right, and just make no mistakes. Go for it. So yeah, that's going to be the main aim for the rest of the season.
Well, maybe I'll check in with you and check whether you're living up to your own expectations at the second half of the year. But good luck this weekend and of course for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. I wouldn't call them expectations, more goals. So yeah, we'll see.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Great to talk.
Great to hear from Gianmarco Pradella, speaking with Piers alongside me yesterday ahead of that race win. Great drive from him, up to third in the championship, and that could all change, as you say, in this race as he really hones down his pace and hones down his racecraft with this GB3 car, which obviously is new for this year, so the drivers are still very much learning the quirks and the huge benefits in the upgrades that we've seen in the GB3 car this year. We can move back actually to Noah Lyle, and I know that you've been impressed with what you've seen by Noah Lyle, starting just behind Gianmarco Pradella in fourth today.
Yeah, he's starting in fourth in this race. Went well in the second part of qualifying yesterday. Very quick at the start of the season at Silverstone. I'll talk about it in the interview in a moment, which we'll get to, but he flown a little bit under the radar, I think, since then, but still in a very good place in the championship. Came into this round, I think it was fourth in the championship. Dropped down a little bit now, but he's going to be quick in this one. And let's not forget, Will McIntyre, who finished second yesterday, went from fourth on the grid, so clearly some good grip on the grid on that side.
Yeah, absolutely. So it feels like we're featuring all the Australian drivers, so hopefully there's a lot of people watching down in Australia. So let's then hear now from Noah Lyle.
Noah, 2 second place at the start of the season at Silverstone. That must have been an almost dream start to your GB3 campaign.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's not too much more than you could want on your debut. Obviously, a very, very strong start for the team and I, especially in the first race of this new car. Really positive way to start.
And then ever since then, I would say I think you've gone a little bit under the radar. Haven't quite had the form you had at Silverstone, but still sitting fifth in the championship, not too far off the front runners. So are you hoping to kick on at the second half of the season?
Yeah, of course. Every weekend we're looking to maximise what we have available. Obviously Spa, I think we would have wanted a lot more, running up the front in races 1 and 3, and then not really capitalising on the result, especially being on the wrong tyres in race 3 and losing out on the last lap for a podium in race 1. I think, yeah, like you said, flying a bit under the radar at the moment, but yeah, for sure, the team's on good form, I'm on good form, we just need to keep doing what we're doing, and I think it's going to come to us.
And you've got a fair amount of experience in F4 level cars. This is a bit of a step up this season for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, huge step up. Obviously, I raced Euro Cup last year, but debatably, this is a step up as well from that as a championship, just competition-wise, the teams that are in it and that sort of thing. So, yeah, definitely a lot of learning for everyone.
Here at Hungary this weekend, different climates, but we head back to Silverstone later in the year. I'm sure you're looking to potentially repeat the form you had there earlier this season.
Yeah, of course. The team's had a really strong car there, pretty much since winter testing. So, of course, looking forward to going back to somewhere quite familiar. The past 3 have been quite difficult rounds for me, track knowledge-wise. And I think we've been playing a little bit of catch-up, really, in all the practices, getting it together for qualifying. So yeah, looking forward to the British rounds where I've got some track knowledge and we'll be looking to hit the ground running from session 1.
And what's your mindset going into the final sort of start half of the year?
Yeah, look, I mean, it doesn't really change too much. You're taking things corner, or at least I am taking things corner by corner. Just maximising everything, giving the team the best feedback possible and trying to maximise every lap of every session, and where we end up is where we end up, to be honest.
A very stoic approach, and we'll see how you get on this weekend, of course, and also for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Fourth in this race, so it'll be good to see what he can do from there. Just saying to Piers, actually, during that clip of your interview, Deegan Fairclough starting just behind him in 5th. Now, he came into the championship, Deegan, a couple of podiums back at Zandvoort. He's maybe struggled a little bit. Is there a reason for that? Is it just the step up from F4 to F3?
It's a lot to get used to going from F4 to GB3 level cars, which are much faster. There's a lot more to think about in terms of the setup, but also the way you drive it is different. Deegan, we know, very, very fast driver, was blisteringly quick earlier on the season. Unfortunately, he's had a few things not go his way. He had a couple of technical issues at Silverstone. We saw him fight through the field, but he had to do that because he wasn't where he wanted to be after qualifying. And then had a few struggles this year, but I think the second half of the year, he's definitely going to be one to look for. Very, very, very aggressive driver, likes to make a move. We saw Alazari, his teammate, making good moves yesterday, so there's clearly pace in that high-tech TGR car. He'll be looking to one.
Yeah, we'll look out for him starting 5th this morning. Sorry, I'm still thinking I'm in Australia time. We'll get back to it. Right, of course, the championship standings, we've got Jean-Marc Pradel now in 3rd place. Patrick Hudson-Reuter, another Australian driver, 2nd in the championship. And a 10-point lead Alex Ninovich still has over Patrick Hudson-Reuter, slightly extending that yesterday with the result and the points yesterday. And Piers caught up with Alex.
Alex Ninovich, pole for race 2. You must be pretty happy with how the performance went in that session.
Yeah, I'm really happy to come away with P1 in Q2, so it puts us in a good position for the weekend now, so I'm really happy about that, and it got all the nerves off before quali, so I'm happy that we're in the position we are.
Yeah, you had good pace in practice as well, and you've clearly been able to transfer that over to today.
Yeah, the free practice and testing on Thursday was really good. It almost made me a bit nervous because of how good it was going into quali, but obviously we put everything together and came out on top, so I'm super happy with the team and everyone that's been leading up to this.
Best position to start in race 2, of course, on the front of the grid, but what do you need to do to convert that into a victory?
Obviously a good start and then manage the race from there. I know it's going to be a warm one, so manage the tyres and see how it goes from there, and yeah, hopefully drive smart and keep out of trouble.
Alex, congratulations. We'll see you go from pole in race 2.
Thank you.
That's our championship leader, Alex Ninovich, driving the road in motorsport. I just want to show you quickly, the cars are just in the pit lane ready to go out and be gridded up. But just first of all, if you look behind me, you can see some of the changes that have happened here at the Hungaroring. This is the first event since it was completely flattened. So everything behind me that you're looking at now was completely flattened. On the left, we've got the new grandstand, 10,000 seats there. Most of them have still got the covers on. They haven't even been sat in. So if you come down to the Hungaroring, probably for the F1, I imagine it'll be the first time that all of those seats will be in action. And you can see behind me now here with the pit lane, we've got 40 new pit garages, which are, I'm told, bigger and better than ever before. We've got loads of viewing areas here. I think it's probably a couple of stories, or maybe at least a story higher as well. Loads of place for hospitality, which is obviously a huge thing in motorsport as well. So a really fantastic and really impressive setup here at the Hungaroring. And of course, the start-finish straight has been completely relaid and reprofiled, given that basically it was a building site a couple of months ago. So seriously impressive infrastructure here. Let's just remind ourselves, though, what it's like, the important stuff, what the track's like.
The GB3 Championship returns to Budapest and to the Hungaroring for the second time. A very tricky test of a circuit, very narrow, very single file, very difficult to overtake. 2 great overtaking opportunities, open the lap though, turn 1, turn 2, then we drop down the hill, back up though, out of turn 3 before we head into turn 4. Iconic, tricky and very narrow. Through turn 5, a long right-hander before we get to the 6 and 7 chicane, and then we're into the S's section, 8 to the left, 9 to the right, 10 to the left again as we go completely flat out, and then just a little bit of a lift going through turn 11. Dropping down the hill once again into turn 12 before we get to the double hairpin sequence at the end of the lap at 13 and 14. The DRS detection point on the exit of the penultimate corner. There's 2 DRS zones around here, but just the single detection point within a second going into the final corner, and you'll get DRS down the start-finish straight and the second straight coming out of turn 1. And those are the 2 primary overtaking opportunities around this 14-turn Hungaroring circuit.
Let's ride on board with our pole sitter for race 1, Keanu Alazari, for the high-tech TGR team here at the 4.3 kilometre Hungaroring circuit. DRS open, as you can see in the top left-hand side of screen. This is the first of 2 DRS zones down towards turn number 1. This will be the main overtaking opportunity in the races. The second DRS zone is down towards turn number 2. Again, the top left-hand corner, you can see that open. This turn 2 is an overtaking opportunity in the race, both on the inside and the outside. It's very steeply downhill through here, and we continue to head downhill flat out through turn number 3. This is now the lowest point on the circuit as we head uphill towards the very fast, very committed turn number 4. A short apex just down 1 gear through here. Watch out for track limits on the exit, and immediately left to open up the long radius turn number 5. The new gravel trap on the left can easily drag you off the track, but Keanu manages that well into the very technical middle sector now for 6 the right-hander, 7 the left-hander. Important to get on those curves, but not too much so that it unsettles the car. Turn number 8 is the left, and then turn 9 is the right-hander. Very important to be precise with both the steering and the throttle through that section. Completely flat out through turn 10, and then the right-hander of 11 is just a breathe on the throttle, fully committed through there and well measured. Down towards the final real overtaking opportunity on the circuit, turn 12, a 90-degree right-hander, again, a gravel trap on the exit, just luring you off the circuit. Drops a wheel there, does Keanu, into turn number 13. 2 long radius hairpins finish the lap. That was 13. Next up, turn 14. That line across the circuit there is the DRS detection zone. And that rounds out our lap. 14 turns of this Hungaroring circuit for the drivers to deal with.
Well, here we go. The cars have just completed their outlap to get onto the grid from the pit lane. We can just see them all finding their grid positions here. Will McIntyre in the near ground here of our shot with Elite Motorsport, was on the podium yesterday. Great second place finish for him. Started 4th, made up a couple of places. It's going to be fascinating to see what he can do. If he can get this start going here, then you've got to say that he's a shoe-in to be on the podium again. Just behind, we can see in the background, it's the Rodin Motorsports car with the pink highlights of Abby Pulling. And she's gridded up just behind Will McIntyre. We move back to let the cars grid up for the formation lap. I'm going to move out of the way, and we will hand over to Piers Pryor in just a second as we go racing for the second time this weekend here in the GB3 Championship at the Hungaroring.
We head to the Hungaroring for the 4th event of the championship. Rounds 10, 11 and 12 here for the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. And we've been greeted with some wonderful weather, air temperature in the high 20s. Track temperatures will be in the low 40s, so that'll be something for the drivers to deal with. Let's have a look at the circuit in a bit more detail. Down towards turn 1 and turn 2, that'll be where most of the overtaking opportunities are, around this high average speed, nearly 100 miles an hour average speed at the Hungaroring circuit. The technical middle sector, especially 6, 7, 8 and 9. That's where time can be won and lost. Turn 11 and turn 4, very high speed challenges for these drivers. And then we've got the DRS detection point there into turn 14 that completes the 4.381 kilometre lap time. 1 DRS detection point into that last corner gives us 2 DRS zones down towards turn 1 and turn 2. And that is 14 corners of the Hungaroring circuit for these drivers to be racing around 3 times this weekend. Here we have the grid. Alex Ninovic going from pole position alongside Keanu Alazari on the front row. Then yesterday's winner, Gianmarco Pradl and Noah Lyle from row 2. Row number 3, Deegan Fairclough and Will McIntyre. And then row 4 will be Abby Pulling and Pat Hoytson-Roeder. Row number 5, we're going to be having Hugo Schwarzer and Reza Siwerthen. Row number 6 will then be Flynn Jacks and Kai Darianani. Row number 7, Jack Sherwood and Wampu Shui. And the final row of the grid is Lucas Flusha and Bianca Bustamante. This is going to be round 11 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC in 2025. From the Hungaroring, my name is Piers Pryor. You would have seen me a moment ago with John in the assembly area. I will be talking you through today's race. Yesterday, we had the former GB3 race winner, Tom Leben. Thank you very much to Tom for joining us yesterday. Today, just myself. So I'll be keeping you up to speed with all of the action as these drivers get the last temperature in their tyres, ready for another race start here in Hungary, near Budapest. Circuit temperature, according to the live time at the moment, already nearing 40 degrees. Air temperature in the high 20s. It's going to be even hotter later. You can see the heat haze on the circuit on that long run down towards turn number 1. Yeah, there you can see bottom left-hand side already in the mid-20s. Not too much wind for the drivers to worry about, so that won't be affecting the aerodynamic balance of these drivers. 14 turns here at the Hungaroring circuit for round number 11. All drivers are on the grid. Green flag at the back of the circuit means we're about to go racing. I can hear the revs rise now as we go racing for the second time this weekend here at the Hungaroring. And it's a long run down towards turn 1. Everyone away cleanly. This time, pole sitter does hold the lead. That is our leader in the championship, Alex Ninovic, defending down towards turn 1. Keanu Alazari, yesterday's pole sitter, looks to the outside as we see Noah Lyle having a peek up the inside of Gianmarco Prado. We've got contact further back, 2 or 3 drivers involved there. I think that's the 88 of Kai Darianani, potentially also Jack Sherwood there, as we have a challenge for the lead into turn number 2. Alazari, a small lockup, 2 by 2 we go for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th places, safely through turn number 2, just about. That is Noah Lyle that's come out ahead of the group. So he's currently moved up 1 position into 3rd place. Alongside is McIntyre with Deegan Fairclough. Can't make a move around the outside there. Oh, Keanu Alazari wide at turn number 4. That's dropped him off the back of the leader, but it is our pole seater, Alex Ninovic, championship leader, leading away from the front of the field, safely through the middle sector as well for the rest of the field. We saw a yellow flag, and the safety car boards are out. So racing has been neutralised. That is Jack Sherwood walking away from that first corner incident that he had with Kai Darianani. Unfortunately, those two came together at the apex of turn number 1. That will be their race run. Let's have a look back at the start, see what happened. We're looking for Kai Darianani in the grey JHR driver. Up the inside at the back of the field, that is Jack Sherwood, a double front lockup, narrowly missing one of the Argenti by Premiers, clattering into the side of Kai Darianani, and also nearly involved was Wampu Shui, as the 2 elite motorsport drivers of Bustamante and Flynn Jacks, both also having to take evasive action. There you can see the rear angle. Unfortunately, I think Jack Sherwood there will look back at that and think potentially he was a bit optimistic on the inside, the dirty part of the circuit. Double lockup, both drivers okay. That's of course what we want to see, but unfortunately the race over. Difficult day for Jack Sherwood today. Had not an ideal race yesterday either. He finished in 13th place. 15 seconds off the lead in the end, so not the weekend Jack Sherwood would have been hoping for, and unfortunate that Kai Darianani was also involved in that incident. Kai Darianani, basically the innocent party from my view on that one, but that means that our lead is still Alex Ninovic. I'll run you through the order after that first lap. It is Ninovic from Alazari, so 1 and 2 as they were. Noah Lyle moved up 1 place, getting past Gianmarco Pradel, who was yesterday's winner. Deegan Fairclough, 5th place, holding on to position. Will McIntyre in 6th. McIntyre then is stayed where we was on the grid. Hugo Schwarzer, Pat Hoytson-Roeder, Reza Siwerthen, Abby Pulling, Lucas Flusha, who actually got a post-race penalty yesterday, demoted in 1 position, finished on the road in 10th yesterday with the Argenti with Prema driver, but has been demoted 1 place. He was 11th. Abby Pulling promoted to 10th after they had a coming together, should we say, on circuit away from our cameras yesterday, but all is good. Looks like the Marshall crew here at the Hungaroring doing a great job, as we're seeing the bottom of the screen. Safety car is going to be in this lap. Likely that we will see go to time in this race after this safety car, or it might be may well just about get the 15 laps in, but if not, will be 14 laps because it was pretty tight between the times for whether it will go to time or whether we'll get all 15 laps in. But I'll keep you updated as we see that for the rest of the race. Safety car lights will be going out down towards turn number 12 at that point. The drivers will then be able to, our leader, Alex Ninovich, will be able then to drop back and prepare himself for a restart. Getting tyre temperatures shouldn't be too much of an issue for these drivers here with the high track temperatures and air temperatures we have in Hungary this weekend. It's more about keeping the tyres in the correct operating temperature for the end of the race. As the safety car lights have gone out and now backing up the field is our championship leader, Alex Ninovich. He has had 4 podiums already this season, one yesterday, led a lot of races as well. He's already 2 wins on the board. He'll be looking to make that third as he's gone early and he's gone into the entry of turn number 13. Initially gapped Keanu Alazari slightly. Alazari's had a good run through turn 13. Noah Lyle in third place of JHR Developments, actually going to be the one, I think, who's under pressure. DRS will be enabled, not this time by, but probably next lap, I would imagine. But the driver that's under most pressure is going to be Lyle, as he's got Pradl right under his rear wing. Down towards turn number 1 for the second time, third lap of the race, but second time in anger. As defensive, actually, goes Deegan Fairclough from Will McIntyre, our driver that came second yesterday. Small lockup, but still managing to hold it around the outside. That's an excellent move around the outside of turn number 1 from Will McIntyre. Second-year driver in the championship, moving over to Elite this season. Gets the move done, but Deegan Fairclough trying to return the favours. In the background, we've got fighting between the 33 of Hugo Schwarzer and second in the championship, Pat Hoytsenroder. Hoytsenroder in the number 5, the XL Motorsport car with the white, dark blue and pink wing tips. It looks like it was a good safety car restart from Alex Ninovich, using his experience to get that one. And Fairclough actually had another look up the inside, trying to regain that place he lost at turn 1. Can't get it done there. Easy to make contact turn 5, but both drivers did well to get through that unscathed. But right under the rear wing still is Fairclough on Will McIntyre. McIntyre's got the yellow and black car there with the blue flashes, as we see Residency Worth, and making his way through the technical middle sector, turns 8 and 9 section. Wide actually went McIntyre, and Deegan Fairclough has regained that place. Potentially a lunge up the inside of turn number 9 from Fairclough, as wide also goes McIntyre, and potentially will lose another place. So up 1, down 2 place on this lap. Schwarzer makes his way through on Will McIntyre. McIntyre still right under the rear wing. To turn 13 will be a bold move. He's having a look. Can't quite get the move done that time. So Will McIntyre did temporarily make his way up into 5th place in this lap, but now he'll find himself down in 7th. Great racing from these drivers. We spoke to John Jackson before the race. Will McIntyre had a good result yesterday, but we know Deegan Fairclough likes an overtake. He's the driver that's made the most places in race 3 this year. 31 places he's made in the 3rd races of the weekend, partially due to his disappointing qualifying by his own standards. But that shows that he knows how to overtake in this championship, and using that to good effect. At the front of the field, Alazari actually slightly closing the gap on that last lap. The gap is now 0.7 seconds over the line, as we see side by side the number 3 of Lucas Flusha fighting with Abby Pulling. Those were the 2 that unfortunately had a misdemeanor yesterday. That was why Flusha dropped 1 place in the standings. It was, I believe, it was a potential unsafe rejoiner crowding a car off the circuit, but they're back out fighting again. Flusha ahead for now with his teammate Wampu Shui as well behind Abby Pulling. So that's Flusha up 1 position into 10th, where he finished on the road yesterday. Pulling now down to 11th, again where she finished on the road. Those positions were reversed. So we see the number 7. It looks like Deegan Fairclough really hustling that car through the turns 6, 7, 8 and 9 middle sector, where you can gain a lot of time. He's actually dropped the group behind and is closing up quite quickly onto the back of Gianmarco Pradel, our race winner yesterday. We've now got effectively 2 groups in the top 5. We've got a first and second separated by a roughly 7 tenths, and then we've got the Lyle Pradel Fairclough battle for third, 4th and 5th. That's going to be somewhere to look, I reckon, for the remainder of this race. There'll be more action. Flynn Jacks in the 55. He's back out on circuit. Good to see him on circuit after a disappointing DNF yesterday, through no fault of his own, really. But he's fighting on. We know that car has good pace. His teammate, Will McIntyre, second yesterday. Down towards turn 1. You can see the DRS open for Gianmarco Pradel down towards turn 1. Likewise for Deegan Fairclough. Not close enough to use that DRS. There's also Alazari's got DRS down towards turn 2, which will just slightly close the gap. DRS not hugely powerful here at the Hungaroring circuit, as once again we're seeing fighting with Will McIntyre. Schwarzer looking up the inside or was that actually, that's McIntyre looking around the outside and getting the move done. Clearly got a good exit out of turn 1, and moving back up a position is McIntyre. Getting ahead of Schwarzer. McIntyre now in 6th, Schwarzer down to 7th. Excellent move. We've seen great racecraft from Will McIntyre this weekend and this season. Gets that move done. Great work around the outside. I think that was started with a good exit out of turn number 1. So McIntyre trying to regain those positions he lost earlier in the race. That is Will McIntyre. Last year, had a good results here. He was quick, especially the high-tech drivers last year were quick this weekend. 1 year ago, it was Gerard Shee that took the win in the first race. And then we had two Rodin drivers win the races, actually, in race 2 and race 3. Potentially, we may be having a repeat of that today as Ninovic still leads strongly. Last year, Will McIntyre had a second in this race, so he equaled his best result at the Hungaroring yesterday. Unlikely to get a second today. Down in 6th place after making up positions and then losing them and then regaining them. So he's been definitely a dramatic race for him so far. I think the driver that's going to be under the most pressure in these front few at the moment is Noah Lyle. He's lost the toe to Alazari and Ninovic. Both drivers behind of Pradell, our race winner yesterday, and Deegan Fairclough, F4 champion last year. They are closing onto the back of Lyle, but we've seen yesterday, we heard from Tom Leben, he said that round here, it is fairly hard to overtake if the driver ahead doesn't make a mistake. So that'll be what Noah Lyle is concentrating on. Clean laps, making the apexes, getting good exits, and that'll make it hard as we see fastest lap of the race from Alex Ninovic. That's already challenging the fastest laps we saw yesterday, 1:38.4. Very, very quick. Much faster even than we were here last year with these new cars. Of course, more power, more aerodynamic grip, more tyre grip, 2 inches wider, and also greater safety this year with the new for 2025 GB3 cars and new design as well. I personally think they look very racy indeed, and from what we're hearing from the drivers, they're very much enjoying driving these machines, hustling them through the circuits around Britain and Europe. This, of course, one of the 4 circuits on the calendar that's Formula 1 visits, and hopefully a circuit that these drivers will be driving at in championships above this as they look to move up their way in the single-seater motorsport ladder all the way to Formula 1. These drivers will be the drivers that will be hoping to and potentially even taking seats and race wins and who knows, world championships in Formula 1 in the future, and also other motorsport as well if they don't make it all the way up the single-seater ladder. Of course, lots of drivers in GB3 championship over the years and its former guises as well, and the BRDC British F3 as well, have gone on to amazing things. In fact, even other drivers in this very grid have had other championships this year. Hugo Schwarzer actually started from pole position at the Road to Le Mans race at Le Mans just a few weeks ago and drove through all the way to 2nd place alongside his teammate. So these drivers very much looking to forge a career in the championship. Fastest lap by nearly 3/10 in that last lap was Keanu Alazari. He's been very quick, especially in that final sector. That's what allowed him to get 2nd place on the grid for this race yesterday. He was down in 4th place until the dying moments. He had 2 yellow sectors, I think, in qualifying in his final lap, but then pulled out a purple sector in the final sector to drop it into 2nd place, only a few hundredths off the back of our pole sitter, Alex Ninovic. He was fastest overall on that last lap, a 1:38.1, nearly 2/10 quicker than our leader. A good half a second quicker than Noah Lyle. So Noah Lyle not quite got the pace of the leaders at the moment. We can see them dust being kicked up by potentially the likes of either Lyle or Pradell dropping a wheel onto the grass on the exit turn 6, pushing hard. We saw yesterday the drivers started to make a few mistakes towards the second, or the third, the final quarter of the race as the tyres, these Pirelli tyres, started to degrade in the heat here in Hungary. Bit of cloud cover here is helping the drivers just keep the tyres in check. Track temperature already at 40 degrees though. Very, very warm conditions here in the Hungaroring. Noah Lyle struggling a little with the pace at this stage of the race, dropping way off the front too, and also this his pace not even matching Will McIntyre, who's making this a 4-way fight for the final podium positions. That is Lyle that we're looking at in the number 11, the JHR Development driver, the grey and black car, followed by the largely white and black 21 of yesterday's winner, Gianmarco Pradell. His first win in the championship, 3rd podium for him yesterday. He's pushing on, wants to make another podium in this championship to kickstart his season. This is, at the end of this weekend, will mark the halfway point to the 2025 GB3 Championship partnered by the BRDC, so we'll have a good picture of what the championship looks like, although it was very, very close coming into this weekend. It was, at the start of this weekend, Alex Ninovic ahead of Hoytzenroda, Fairclough, Slater, Lyle, Lee and Pradell. Pradell jumped all the way up to 3rd place after yesterday's victory. Shows how close it is that one good result can push him up that many positions. As we see a wide moment for one of the Argenti by Prema cars. I think that is Wampu Shui that had a wide moment turn 4. Easily done there. Blind entry uphill. You have to commit to the very, very fast apex, but you run ever so slightly wide, and the serrated curves on the exit, the corners of turn 4 and the likes of turn 11 there as well that we're looking at the back of. You can see the dust and the plank being worn down and the dust being kicked up as the bottom of the car hits the circuit. So low these cars run to the circuit, only a few centimetres off the ground when they're stationary, and when the downforce goes on the cars, they increase their speed and the load through the corners increases. The plank can rub on the ground. Not a large issue over one lap, but do it too much can be fairly uncomfortable. We heard from Tom Leben yesterday in the commentary box, who's driven not this generation of GB3 car, but took race wins in the previous generation of GB3 car, and he says that plank hitting the ground is fairly uncomfortable, as your bum is quite literally on the ground at that point, only a few centimetres between the bottom of the car and where the drivers sit. Deegan Fairclough fighting his way through turn number 1. He made his way past the driver directly behind Will McIntyre earlier in the race. We saw a great move between those two. It was down towards turn 1 that McIntyre initially got the move done. Around the outside is a bold move. He got ahead at the apex and just forced Fairclough to relinquish the place at the exit. And then we saw Fairclough make a bold move on the entry of turn 9. Not a very usual overtaking spot on the circuit. It must have been a bold lunge on the inside, as we see Fairclough actually running slightly wide, as we saw Wampu Shui do one lap ago. That will have cost him a bit of time. You can see the gap opening out between Fairclough in the 5th place, the number 7. He's dropping back ever so slightly off the back of Gianmarco Pradell, allowing Will McIntyre, the 37 there, with the black and yellow highlights. Pink flashes on his helmet to keep the pressure on. Wonder if we're going to see more chopping and changing between those two. They've already changed position between themselves twice in this race. Fairclough, 5th place, exactly where he qualified in this race, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Fairclough, 5th place in this race. So close it was in qualifying. Ninovic on a 37.4 in qualifying. Only 4 tenths away from him with McIntyre in 6th place. So close in qualifying. The level of driving and competition, both of the drivers and teams in this championship, is very high. It's a little bit wide to the last corner, goes Fairclough again. He's going to have DRS is Will McIntyre down towards turn 1. DRS for Pradell as well. Fairclough just dropping outside the DRS window on Gianmarco Pradell, so that means that he'll be under more pressure as closer in the braking zone gets Will McIntyre into turn number 1. Not close enough to make a manoeuvre this time, but I think just dropping out of DRS is going to hinder Fairclough in this defence. A jink to the inside from Will McIntyre. I don't think that was a genuine look for an overtake. I think he's just trying to get in the mirror, trying to get inside the mind of Fairclough, saying, I've already been past you once, I'm going to go for it again, trying to force the driver ahead of Fairclough in the number 7 high-tech TGR driver. Motorsport, very physical sport in terms of the physical load of these drivers. No power steering in these cars. High G-force through the corners, nudging 3 Gs through the long corners here, the Hungaroring circuit. That's 3 times their body weight these drivers will have to hold on to, holding their legs up in the car, holding their head up especially. The necks of these drivers very, very strong to hold up their head and helmets as they power their way through the corners. But it's also a very mental sport as well. Fairclough will be trying to make as few errors as possible. McIntyre will be trying to just fill the brain of Fairclough with thoughts of potential overtakes, so that some of that mental bandwidth will be taken up from driving, and in the hope that McIntyre can force a mistake out of Fairclough, but that will be hard going. Both these drivers graduates from the British F4 Championship, both very successful. Fairclough last season a multiple race winner. Record-breaking race winner was Fairclough. Took 14 wins last season in that championship, 22 podiums in a season that had, I think, nearly 30 races, so a dominant season in that. Not having it quite so easy this year. With the same team, that'll give him some continuity, but the front of the field, it still is Alex Ninovic. He has broken the toe from Keanu Alazari, so clearly Ninovic found a little bit of pace overnight with the team, either working on his driving or potentially work with the team to make that car just slightly better suited to his driving and the circuit this weekend. As I thought arguably that Al-Azhari was the fastest driver in the top 5 yesterday. Fell away to 4th place at the start of the race, but managed to work his way back up into 3rd place on the road and was challenging for 2nd. Only for Will McIntyre's strong defence did it stop him gaining that place. But breaking the toe is Ninovic at the front of the field. Gap 1.8 at the start of this lap. And going even faster on this one. 2/10 in the first sector to Ninovic as well. So I think that gap is probably going to continue to extend. But we keep an eye now, the 3-way fight between the 3 Argenti by Prema cars, the 10 of Seaworth and the 3 of Flusha, and then Flusha and then Wanpu Shui in the number 56 behind them. So that's an intra-team battle here for the final places inside the top 10. Seaworthen in 10th place at the moment, looking to try and continue on his run of consistent results. We heard from Reza at the head of the weekend. He's looking to work with the team to get some solid results the second half of this season. New team to the championship this year are Argenti with Prema. Neither of those teams have raced in the GB3 Championship before, but both have extensive experience in single-seater racing, both Argenti and Prema. Anyone who's watched any single-seater racing all the way up to Formula 1 will know exactly the pedigree of Prema. They've won in pretty much every championship they've ever entered in various single-seater categories, and also now extended their racing pedigree into prototypes as well, as they've got teams in likes of LMP2 and even IndyCar this year. Looking at that gap now, actually coming down ever so slightly on that last lap, as once again Keanu Al-Azhari fast in that final sector, closing the gap ever so slightly, but he's going to need to do more than a couple of tenths a lap to close the 1.6 second gap now, with just 4 laps remaining, 4 minutes 50 seconds, so it's going to be touch and go as to whether we get that final 15th lap in. Keanu Al-Azhari will be hoping that we do. Ninovic, I'm sure, will be counting down the laps, hoping that we don't have to do any more, because every lap is a potential for a mistake and a potential to lose the place that he's worked so hard for. He's done everything right so far. Got away from the line, defended down towards turn 1, kept off the early race pressure, and then put in some consistently fast lap times to bridge the gap to our second place driver. Been very impressed with Keanu Al-Azhari this weekend, must say. It's his strongest weekend so far this season, no doubt. He's had a strong single-seater campaign so far. He's a driver that's an Emirati driver that's raced out in a lot in the Middle East, Keanu Al-Azhari. Did Spanish F4 as well last year, 2nd place in that championship, so moving up a level for the first time. F4 UAE, a podium driver as well, and also racing German prototypes in years gone by, so he's got a wealth of experience in racing, not only single-seaters, but also in prototype cars. Who knows, he may continue up the single-seater ladder if he has a strong year this year, or he may decide to make the choice to go for prototype racing. Of course, a lot of momentum going towards that, with hypercar becoming ever more popular, new brands coming in like McLaren in 2027. That will be good to look forward to. We've got former GB3 drivers in hypercars. Ross Gunn, for example, is racing in the Aston Martin. Tom Gamble as well. I think he's a teammate with Ross Gunn in the Aston Martin Valkyrie hypercar. Filing their way through turn 4. Brilliant corner, that. Such high commitment required to go through there. Blind on entry, such a short apex. You turn in 1 metre too late and you'll be off the circuit, as we've seen Flusha and Fairclough do this race already. The drivers will have to be slightly careful thinking about those track limits as well. They won't want to be running outside of the white lines too many times this race, otherwise they'll be getting some attention from race controllers. Clearly still pushing on is Noah Lyle in 3rd place, running out to the extremities of track limits anymore, and he would have been off the circuit there. Car bottoming out on the exit of turn number 9, but just about staying on the road for now. He's done a good race so far, Lyle, to soak up the pressure from Gianmarco Pradel, yesterday's winner. Lyle been slightly under the radar this year, coming into the weekend 5th in the championship. Will have dropped down to 6th after Pradel's win yesterday. At the front of the field, final couple of laps. 2 minutes 18 seconds to go on the clock, so I think we are going to get our 15th lap in just about in this race. Ninovic 1.7 ahead of Al-Azhari. Lyle 6.4 seconds back from Al-Azhari, so Lyle not having the pace of the leaders in this race. It really is a group of 2 at the front of the field, and they are continuing to push away. Pradel still with a chance, an outside chance of getting a podium in this one. 7/10 was the gap over the line, so still has DRS. If Ninovic makes any issues, if Ninovic makes any mistakes, then I'm sure Alazari will be looking to capitalise. But it's no mistakes so far from Alex Ninovic at the front of the field, showing why he is the championship leader, can push on from the front of the field. This will be Rodin's 4th win of the season, which would equal Hillspeed, who currently have the most wins this season. Third win for Rodin yesterday. I don't want to speak too soon, don't want to jinx them, but that would be a good one for him. Alex Ninovic would also equal the most wins this season. He would equal Freddie Slater with 3 wins if he can continue this up to the end of the race. Slater not here with us this weekend. Other racing duties to tend to. Maybe we'll see him back at other races. But for now, all the attention on these drivers. It is Alex Ninovic still at the front of the field. Alazari still hustling on. You can see the tyres, the pickup on the tyres. They're starting to go away from these drivers. Lap times falling away. We've had the fastest lap of the race in the low 38s last time by. Still in the low 38s, actually. So pushing on. Pushing on our front drivers at the front. 38.4 from both of our front drivers. They're almost identical lap times. A 4.76. 38.476 from Ninovic. 38.480 from Alazari. McIntyre is only 2 tenths behind Fairclough at the line, looking on the left-hand side of the screen. So potential for movement down towards the bottom end of the top four for 5th place. Keep an eye at the back of shot for those two as Ninovic continues to make his run downhill to the lowest point of the circuit between turn 3 and turn 4. This is the final lap of the race now. Only 2/3 of the lap to go. He makes his way cleanly through turn number 4. Gapping even more on this lap, so Alazari potentially settling for 2nd place and choosing to save a little bit of tyre life in this one as Ninovic pushes his way into the middle sector over the curbs. Very satisfying section of the circuit for these drivers when they get that right. Technical is this middle sector. You have to be very precise with car placement, steering, brake inputs, throttle application. Flat out all the way through turn 8 and 9 and 10. Just a small lift through turn 11, over the cresting, downhill towards turn number 12. This is the final sector of the lap, and this will be another win for Rodin, the 4th of their season. Another win also for Alex Ninovic. That would be his 3rd win of the season, extending his championship lead even further over the likes of Patrick Hoytzenroder, Deegan Fairclough, and his teammate Gianmarco Pradel. Round the final corner to win again, our championship leader, the Sydney-born driver, Australian, coming all the way over here and leading the championship and the race here at Hungaroring. Alex Ninovic wins round 11 of the GB3 championship here at the Hungaroring, and we're looking further down towards the back of the top 10. Will McIntyre on his own. Where is Deegan Fairclough? Is he ahead or behind? Fairclough managing to hold on. Actually, I think there was... Where's Fairclough? Yes, Mal McIntyre managed to wake his way past Deegan Fairclough on the final lap. I did say at the start of the lap there was only 2 tenths between them. We've seen jostling between those two in this race all the way through, and a last lap lunge potentially even into turn 9 where we saw Fairclough get back past McIntyre earlier in the race. But great racing. We'll hear from those two hopefully after the race, but it will be Jonas who will be going down towards the podium to get the reaction from our top 3. But Ninovic it was who took the win convincingly, 1.7 seconds ahead of Keanu Alazari. Those two were in a league of their own at the front of the field. Noah Lyle, great result for him, another podium. He'll be happy with that one. 2 2nd places to start the year. That'll now be his 3rd podium of the season. He'll be happy to take those points home. Podium's Noah Lyle. It will be his 3rd podium, and that is your provisional results. Of course, this is only provisional for now. Fast lap of the race, Alex Ninovic, a 38.1. Very, very fast lap times from him. Ninovic from Alazari, Noah Lyle, Gianmarco Pradel, yesterday's winner, another top 5. Will McIntyre managed to wake his way past Deegan Fairclough, who finished in 5th place. 2 seconds between those two, so there was definitely some hard racing between those two. Schwarzer made up for yesterday's DNF, top 10 today, 7th place. Hoytzenroder was 2nd in the championship coming into this round. He'll be potentially looking at losing some positions in the championship. Then it was Hoytzenroder pulling Seaworthen, Flusha, Wampushwe, Bianca Bustamante. Flynn Jacks was the final of the race finishers. 14th place, Kai Darignani and Jack Sherwood. We both lost at turn number 1 after that altercation. But the man of the day so far, Alex Ninovic, rises aboard his Rodin Motorsports car, the Rodin supported driver. 4 wins this season, over the moon with that one. So 3 wins for Alex Ninovic this season, 4 wins for the team at Rodin. Very, very happy with that. Good to see some handshakes, good sportsmanship between the drivers. Al-Azhari yesterday disappointed to get only third place after starting on pole. Second place today. He'll be disappointed not to have come away with a win in these first two races. It will be hard for him to take the victory in the partially reversed grid race 3 later on today. But Ninovic did everything he needed to do. Got away from the line well, soaked up some early pressure, and then used the pace that he had in qualifying, replicated it lap on lap to extend the gap to 1.7 seconds over the line and getting all the plaudits for the race win. Championship leader coming into this round. 4th place yesterday, 1st place today, and we'll hear from him with John Jackson.
Here we go then, Alex Ninovic. A great lights the flag for you because, I mean, you just pulled away there and there was never really a question that you were going to lose that one.
Yeah, it was a really nice race from the start. We took the lead into turn 1 and then from there just kept the pace up and managed the gap. So, yeah, the pace in the car was obviously there and I did my best throughout the race to keep the gap just big enough and, yeah, come away with the win is a pretty good result.
And how were the tyres towards the end there? It looked like there was kind of no chance that it kind of was going to catch you.
Yeah, the tyres at the end weren't too bad. I think if I really wanted to push hard, I probably could have matched my fastest lap or got really close. So I think the tyres held up pretty good and, yeah, just managing the gap. And, yeah, it wasn't a tricky race, but also hard to sort of stay in that rhythm to try and keep that gap.
Coming into the weekend as the championship leader and then extending your lead a little bit yesterday and even more today, that must be a great feeling knowing you've got one more race to go and there's, I mean, nothing to lose really.
Yeah, definitely. Gathering up all these points and just keep putting them on the championship is a pretty good feeling. And yeah, later on, hopefully we come away with a few more points, but you don't know until you race. So we'll see what happens.
I know it's the evening back home. Anything you want to say to people watching?
Hello, everyone in Australia and everywhere else. Thank you for supporting me and staying up so late or early to watch me race. So I'm much appreciated.
Nice one. We'll let you go and continue celebrations.
Thank you.
There we go. Third race win of the season. You see him celebrating with the team members now from Rodin coming across here. We're going to go and speak to Keanu Al-Azhari now, just over here, celebrating again. I'm going to just come in here. Terribly sorry, I've got to jump in again. Great pace again from you, but it was kind of tough to overtake.
Yeah, I think this is a circuit where you need the clean air on your wings, otherwise you lose quite a bit of downforce efficiency. Sorry, it's a bit hot. Yeah, my start was pretty decent, much better than yesterday. I gave it a shot at P1, but didn't really work out. Yeah, fair play. Alex drove a great race. I think I did as well. Yeah, we were miles ahead of everyone else, so no, we had a decent battle. Some nice quick laps behind each other. No, I'm happy to take home the P2.
And more points to make up in this reverse grid race. What do you think is possible?
I think it's going to be a bit of a chaotic race, to be honest, but it's going to be quite fun.
Excellent. Well, we've enjoyed watching you race so far. We've got one more to come, so best of luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Here we go, because Keanu Al-Azhari going to come around here. We're going to find Noah Lyle. Oh, he's literally right behind me. Noah, congratulations, your third podium of the season. How was it out there for you?
Yeah, it was quite a stressful one. Obviously, didn't manage to pull too much of a gap at any point, but kept it focused, tried to just focus on pulling the gap out as much as I could. I think I broke the DRS at one point, but it's hard to say whether the car behind was tyre saving or not, and maybe just giving himself a bit of space to push at the end. Got a little bit more stressful at the end, tyres started to drop away, but yeah, we brought it home, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, pretty hot out on track here, so the tyres were a big consideration for you. Also quite hard to overtake at this track. Is it as hard as people say it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yesterday I was a lot faster than the cars in front, and it was really difficult to get past. But yeah, I mean, it's just something to. It's for most circuits, especially on this calendar where you've got a lot of British tracks and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really just down to qualifying. It's the same for everyone. So yeah, not the end of the world.
Reverse grid race coming up a little bit later on. What do you think is possible yourself?
I think the biggest thing is to kind of pick our way through all the carnage, which will inevitably unfold. Yeah, I mean, we won't have any tyres left. Same with the cars around us, though. So yeah, just try to get a good start, get some good track positioning, and then, yeah, that's really it.
Hit and hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent stuff. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
There we go, Noel with his third podium of the season with JHR Developments. It's getting a bit warm here. You can probably see the sun behind me is beating down. Got one more race coming up, but first of all, let's take a look at the podium. Piers will talk you through it as the drivers get their trophies.
So that was our podium sitters. Good to hear from them directly after the race. Great result for Noah Lyle. He'll be happy with that. His first podium since the first 2 races of the season. 2 second places at Silverstone. 8th place yesterday. But no, making the most of it today. His good qualifying and qualifying 2 put him in a good position. Keanu Alazari, a very strong weekend so far. Pole position yesterday's race. Couldn't convert it into a win. 3rd place yesterday. 1 better 2nd today. And then a race winner, Alex Inovic. There'll be a fair few movements in the championship. We'll keep you updated with that as the weekend goes on, and you can also keep an eye on that in the gb-3.net, where all the updates from that race will be posted, as well as the GB3 social media accounts. There'll be all the post-race news there. If there's any changes, I don't suspect there'll be a huge amount of change because everyone was fairly well behaved, although maybe there'll be some afters about those moves between Will McIntyre and Deegan Fairclough. We'll do our best to get a word with them because that looked like a great race between those two. It was good to see side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel, clean racing action all the way up and down the field. But Ninovic was the man of the day. Very close in the championship between basically everyone 3rd through about 8th or 9th in the championship. So any good results for those drivers will move them up and down the order. And there'll be a fair few changes, but at the front of the field, no change at all. Extended his lead over Pat Hoytsenroder yesterday. Alex Inovic will do again even further today. In fact, Hoytsenroder might be looking at potentially dropping down from his 2nd place that he held coming into this weekend. He'll need a good result in that partially reverse grid race number 3 that's coming on later on. Top 12 from qualifying are reversed. We'll talk more about that when that race comes about. But we're about to have the podium presentation here for those top 3 drivers in the championship, where they get to celebrate what has been a 2nd race this weekend. A good race as well. Good one to watch. Great to see such close racing here at the Hungaroring. And these drivers will be taking the experiences they're having in here at the GB3 Championship and using it in their future careers, as who knows, maybe they will be emulating the moves they pull here in Formula 1 in the future. Even if not Formula 1, they'll be honing their skills to try and forge a career in motor racing as the best racing drivers. This is a very, very competitive championship. Noah Lyle steps onto the 3rd spot of the podium. He'll be very happy with that. Keanu Alazari, the Alpine Academy back driver, BWT car, easily to spot on circuit. He's 2nd, his 2nd podium this weekend. Alex Inovic, great result for him. Another win for him. That puts him equal top in this year's winning drivers. And in a moment, we're going to be having their trophy presentations. Gemma there, handing out the trophies. 3rd place, Noah Lyle. Showing how such an international grid we have here in the GB3 Championship. 2 Aussies and an Emirati on the podium. We've got a lot of Aussies on the grid this year as well. Keanu Alazari, 2nd place for the high-tech TGR car. Very happy with that. High-tech TGR have had I suppose by their own standards, tough starts of the year. They're still very, very strong taking podiums, but Alex Inovic raises that aloft. Extends his championship lead at the front of the field. Be a good day for Rodin. They'll be looking to extend their championship lead that was, they're currently 1st in the teams championships. That was the Australian national anthem, the 2nd time we've heard that this weekend, as Gianmarco Pradel for Rodin took victory yesterday. Alex Inovic for Rodin takes victory today. Good weekend so far from the Rodin team. They took 2 wins here last year. It was Louis Sharp from 5th on the grid in this very race, and then Arthur Rojon took victory in the 3rd partially reverse grid race here last season. Will we see a repeat of that? Will we see High-Tech taking a victory? They've been quick this weekend. We've seen Deegan Fairclough been very, very fast making moves today. He's higher up the grid than these drivers we're looking at the moment in that race. We'll run you through the reverse grid order for later on, as we now got an opportunity for the drivers to cool off a little bit after what was a hard and hot race for these drivers under the helmet, with a bit of bubbly popping the cork, spraying the champagne. This is one of the most enjoyable and satisfying moments for the drivers. Gianmarco Pradel spraying the champagne, taking victory in round 11 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC here at the Hungaroring. Very happy. Smiles all round for these drivers, but they've got one more race to do this weekend. Looking forward to seeing how that reverse grid race goes later on. Let's hand over to John Jackson for a bit of... no, in a moment we'll be handing over to John Jackson. But before then, round 11 highlights of the GB3 Championship partnered by the BRDC, and it was our pole sitter Alex Zinovich that got away from the front of the field very well down towards turn 1. Keanu Alazari in the pink number 6 car challenged around the outside but couldn't get that move done, and then a decisive move up the inside from Noah Lyle managed to get third place. We saw the contact further back. Unfortunately, Jack Sherwood clattering into the side of Kai Darianani. Those two would go out of the race. That will be the end of their round 11. Further fighting down the order as round the outside tried to go Deegan Fairclough on Noah Lyle, but that allowed the likes of Will McIntyre and Gianmarco Pradel to get involved. Then we saw this battle between McIntyre and Fairclough raged on. McIntyre getting passed by Fairclough in the middle sector, then getting passed by Schwarzer. He wouldn't manage to get back through. Actually, there was a little bit of contact there between those drivers. At the front of the field, no change though from the first lappers as Alex Zinovich managed to pull away from the front of the field. And eventually it was Alex Zinovich taking his third victory of the season, and the fourth for Rodin. So there we have it. That was round number 11 of the championship. Highlights from that. A good race here. Hey, who says that overtaking is tricky around here? We've had plenty this weekend so far this weekend here at the Hungaroring. We saw great moves, both turn 1, turn 2, even into the likes of turn 8 and 9, where it's very unusual to see overtaking. We're looking forward to another reverse grid race. That always provides some excellent entertainment. Looking forward to that later on. But before then, we're going to hand to John Jackson for some post-race thoughts.
Well, thank you very much, Piers. Great highlights there. A race of drivers just not putting a foot wrong, really. I mean, we saw kind of a few moves there from Will McIntyre, maybe getting a little bit frustrated with where he was in the Elite Motorsports car and going a little bit wide there. And other than that, I mean, the drivers held position incredibly well. As we heard from the drivers down on the podium there, very, very tough to overtake. The tyres obviously struggling here a little bit with the heat in the track. Obviously, we're looking at 25, 26, 27 degrees realistically. I think it's going to get up maybe as high as 30 or so, which is going to be quite hot. Maybe later on we might actually get up to maybe 35 or so. That's what's predicted here. I don't know if it's going to get that hot. I think we're going to be seeing temperatures a little bit lower than that. But as we look out over the paddock, you can see over here we've got the awnings where the teams are. We can see the sort of big Pirelli truck there, which is in the background, which is obviously where they're managing all the tyres, and teams only get a certain allocation of tyres for the weekend. So you've got to manage those things across qualifying, across the two races to start the weekend, and then of course the reverse grid race as well. So lots to think about, and that reverse grid race is coming up a little bit later on. It's going to be, our show will start around about 5 p.m. local time. That's an hour ahead of the United Kingdom here in Hungary, so 4 p.m. local time in the United Kingdom. And of course you'll be able to watch highlights like you will of this race on the MSV or the GB3 website and social media. The highlights very, very quick to be published. They'll be on the GB3 Instagram very, very soon, probably on X and Facebook as well. And you can rewatch the race on YouTube, and you can interact there in the comment section as well. And if you want to ask any questions for me to put to our resident expert Piers Pryor, maybe we'll do that before the show for the third race coming up. But Alex Zinovich has absolutely bossed this race, just like his teammate Gianmarco Pradel did in the first race of the weekend. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens in the reverse grid race when we come back a little bit later on. You've got a bit of a gap to go, but we'll see you back here 5 p.m. local time, 4 p.m. in the United Kingdom, and you can check all the other times on the GB3 website for the reverse grid race, round 12 of the GB3 Championship here in 2025.